What comes up in a session is almost never what the client expected. That surface belief, I can't find the right man, or love never lasts for me. It's rarely the actual root cause of your situation. Both of them thought that they knew what their blocks were, and in both cases, the real block was actually something completely different, something much deeper, something the conscious mind couldn't see because it wasn't stored in the conscious mind. The pattern stays. Not because you're not trying hard enough, because you're trying at the wrong level. This is why women come to me having done years of incredible work on themselves and still find themselves in the same loop running in love. Hey, welcome back. I'm Michelle. Today's episode is one that's really close to my heart because we're going to go into some real stories, real women, real sessions, and real results. And I want to be upfront about something before we start. When I say results, I don't just mean she met someone, because ultimately, honestly, what happens before that, the internal shift within you, is the actual transformation. Meeting someone is almost a side effect of it. What I'm going to share today is what it looks like and feels like when a woman releases that genuine block around love at the subconscious level, at the identity level, and what becomes possible for you after that. We're also going to go deeper into the Psych-K process itself, which actually happens in a session, a private one-to-one mentorship with me, why it works when nothing else has, and why the blocks that show up there are almost never what you expect. So let's get into it. So what is Psych-K really? I've talked about Psych-K in previous episodes, but today I really want to pull back the curtain on how it actually works, because I think a lot of women hear subconscious reprogramming and you picture it something like it's very vague or woo-woo, and this is actually genuinely the opposite of that. It's actually based in scientific evidence. Psych-K was developed by Rob Williams in the late 1980s after years of frustration with how slowly traditional therapy moved and how rarely it produced the kind of deep, lasting, permanent change that his clients were actually looking for. And he wanted to know, what if you could go directly to the source? What if instead of talking around a belief for years, like in therapy, you could just identify it, locate it in the body and the nervous system, and actually update it? The method works by creating what's called a whole brain state. Under normal conditions, our two brain hemispheres tend to dominate in different ways. That's what you hear, right-brained or left-brained kind of person. And it depends on what you're doing or you're feeling. But in a whole brain state, both hemispheres of the brain are active, integrated, and communicating with each other. And in that state, the subconscious becomes genuinely receptive to new information in a way it simply wasn't during your normal waking consciousness. Your subconscious has a security system. Its job is to keep you safe by running those programs it already knows. Anything new, anything that contradicts the existing belief gets filtered out. That's why affirmations that you don't believe in often are not going to stick. The subconscious security system looks at it like, I'm safe to be loved and be loved, and it doesn't match your existing program, so it rejects it. Not because you're broken or there's anything wrong with you, but because the system is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Psych-K essentially creates a temporary window where that security system opens up, where the subconscious mind is rather receptive rather than defensive. And in that small window of time, you can install a new belief that the nervous system actually accepts as true. We also use muscle testing, which I've studied kinesiology, and we use a specific form of muscle testing. This is a form of biofeedback to communicate directly with the subconscious mind. Now, the thing is, the body, it doesn't lie the way the conscious mind can. And I'll tell you exactly what it believes, what it's holding, and what it's ready to release if you know how to ask. And here's what I find most extraordinary about this work. What comes up in a session is almost never what the client expected. That surface belief, I can't find the right man, or love never lasts for me. It's rarely the actual root cause of your situation. The root is almost always something older, something quieter, something the conscious mind would never have found on its own. Otherwise, you would be aware of it. So here's a story of Dr. Kieran, one of my real clients. She is a highly accomplished woman. She's a doctor. She's built multiple six-figure businesses. She travels the world, has this amazing life. Her kids are adults now, and she's able to focus on her own life again. She did everything in her amazing career through her own intelligence, her determination, and she came to work with me after going through her divorce. On the surface, she said she wanted to be open to love again. She was ready, she thought, to meet someone new. But underneath that, in her body, in the nervous system, there was something completely different running. In our sessions, what comes up for Dr. Kieran was not about grief about the marriage ending or fear of choosing the wrong person again. What actually surfaced up was something much more deep and visceral, a feeling of not being safe in a relationship. And alongside that, a fear of being trapped. Now, think about that for a moment. If your subconscious is holding the belief that relationships are not safe, love means being trapped, being less than myself, shrinking myself, it doesn't matter how consciously ready you are, your nervous system is going to make sure that love stays at arm's length. It's going to find reasons to keep men at a distance. It's going to create situations that confirm this belief, make the wrong ones feel familiar to you, and the right ones feel like they're threats to you. This is the overachiever pattern as well, which is very much Dr. Kieran's world. She's particularly vulnerable to this because high-achieving women are amazing at staying in control. And the subconscious learns very quickly that staying in control is the thing that keeps you safe. When you're letting someone in, it means losing control. and losing control means danger. So we worked with those specific beliefs, the feeling of being unsafe in love, the association between relationship and entrapment. We used the process to release what the body was holding around those experiences, and we were able to install new beliefs that the nervous system could genuinely accept. And that is the key, that love could be safe, that a relationship could feel like expansion rather than confinement, that she could be fully in a partnership and still be completely herself authentically. And some things really shifted for her in our work together, not just intellectually, in her body, that embodiment. She described it as feeling a lightness she hadn't felt in years. And about 8 months later, Dr. Kieran met someone when she was traveling, and that in itself, being in a different environment, is a completely different energy. You're more open, you're also more present, and you're less controlled in the environment of your daily life. And so this man was not someone she would normally have considered, not the usual type her conscious mind had decided was right for her, but she was open in a way that she hadn't been before. And what she shared with me afterwards is what I really want you to hear. She said that what moved her most wasn't even the relationship itself. It was the feeling that she could be in love again, that love was possible for her, that the right man was actually out there for her. After her divorce, after the grief, after building her armor back up piece by piece, she felt love again, that she could be open, alive, that particular kind of hope that comes back from the heart, not from the head. That is what this work does. It doesn't hand you a relationship automatically. It hands you back yourself. And from that place, everything changes. Now, another client story is about a woman who came to me. She's constantly saying she wants to be in a relationship, but we tended to work on everything else except love in a relationship. And I could tell, and I called it out quite bluntly, but from a place of love and compassion and kindness, that even in the way she talks about it, she's very blocked around love. She wanted one, she said, but there was such a heaviness around the topic of love, like she was avoiding it, like she's approaching a door and stopping just short of opening it every single time. So I really called that out. Now, this is something I see in the independent woman pattern quite a lot. The woman who you've built a rich, fulfilling, capable life entirely on your own terms. You really don't need anyone. And this has become your identity, often without you realizing it. And then wanting a relationship starts to feel like a real contradiction of your identity, who you are. Like admitting that you want love is like admitting you have a weakness, or that you need love, or that the life you've built isn't enough for you anymore. So when we got into our sessions together, something unexpected actually came up. And it always does. What surfaced for her, and she was using a lot of intuitive feeling, understanding what was going on. What surfaced for her wasn't about men or dating or past relationships. What actually came up for her was about her mother, a fear connected to her maternal line that had been sitting in her body for decades, completely outside of her conscious awareness. She couldn't have consciously told you it was there. Like before our session, she didn't know that it was there. It wasn't in any of her journaling or any of her therapy, but her body knew, and it had been holding on to this all this time. What the subconscious mind had linked at some very deep level was the experience of love with the experience of that fear. So the two had been wired together, and it is really interfering with her desire to be in a relationship. So every time she moved towards a possibility of love, the nervous system fired that same fear response, not as a thought, but as a physical cellular response. And so the safest thing for her to do with that response, the thing the subconscious had learned to do, was just avoid it entirely. So in our sessions, we were able to locate that fear in her body, acknowledge what it had been protecting her from, and actually release it. And that's what the Psych-K process does. Not just talk about it, not just analyze it, but actually release it from the body at the level it was actually stored. And then we did something I love about Psych-K. We didn't just remove the old belief, we install it with a new one. So once you remove something, you have to put something in its place, something her nervous system could genuinely receive and accept as true, that her person exists for her, that he's out there waiting for her, that they are already in some energetic sense calling each other towards one another. That's what she wanted to create as a new belief, a new pattern in her love life. Now, I want you to sit with that one for a second, because I think it's really beautiful and it's also very precise. We didn't install the program, I will meet someone soon, because the subconscious would have already tested that against reality and found it unverifiable. We installed something the nervous system could actually hold, that her person is real, that the connection already exists, that they are in the process of finding each other. After the session, she told me that something had really unlocked and shifted for her. She could feel it in her body. And at the first time in a long time, she actually wanted a relationship. And she could actually imagine herself in a relationship. Not as a concept, not as something she thought she would want. She felt it. The desire was clean, it was open, it was unafraid in a way it had never been before. That is the difference between trying to want something with your conscious mind and actually being available for it at every level. So what have these stories got in common with each other? Both of these women are intelligent, they're successful, they're deeply self-aware. They've both done a lot of inner work on themselves before coming to me. Both of them thought that they knew what their blocks were. And in both cases, the real block was actually something completely different, something much deeper, something the conscious mind couldn't see because it wasn't stored in the conscious mind. That's the thing about subconscious work. You can't think your way to it. You can't journal your way to it. You can't even understand your way to it. because a belief isn't living in your understanding, in your conscious level. It's living in the body, in your nervous system, in the emotional responses that fire before you've even had a conscious thought. And until you let go of that pattern, and until you let go of that level, the pattern stays. Not because you're not trying hard enough, because you're trying at the wrong level. This is why women come to me having done years of incredible work on themselves and still find themselves in the same loop running in love. The work was real, the growth was real, but the root cause was somewhere that the other tools don't reach. So if you recognize yourself in either of those stories, I want you to start with my free Love Blind Spot Audit. It's on my website, and I'll put the link in the show notes below. You're going to know exactly which pattern is running your love life right now. And it takes about 2 minutes. Most women read their result and it feels like someone's actually named the thing they couldn't quite articulate themselves. And if you're ready to do some deeper actual work, you can apply to book a call with me, and we can go through in a lot more detail your specific situation and see if this could be a good way that can help you attract love and be closer to attracting love. Thank you so much for listening. These stories matter to me deeply, and I'm really glad I got to share them with you today. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to The Integrated Feminine. If this conversation gave you clarity, stay with me by subscribing. And if you're ready for deeper support, you'll find more at www.michellechungcoach.com. Until next time.